What I'd love to know is, like you said earlier, you'd come up with 120 or so principles. Which were the last to go? Where you're like, oh, these are my babies. I don't want to kill them. I love these. I really want to put these in. What were some of the principles that didn't make it in the final cut that you're like, in an alternate universe where there were a version B, these would be in?
Yeah. So the single most prominent example by a long shot is one that didn't quite not make the cut, but went from being about 30 pages to maybe half a page.
Okay.
And that was this idea. Like I said, this book was a real struggle to get started right, because it needed to be a fairly sequential thing, which might sound like, of course, books are sequential, but ours are usually not. Really.
No,
ours
no,
are just
it makes perfect sense, because my books are modular in the same way as your first book.
But this one, we wanted it to be sequential, and moreover, the biggest thing we wanted it to be that, like, the tone and pace and weight and all that stuff had to be right, because we didn't want it to feel preachy, right? We didn't want it to be like, hey, you should want to be like us and be like us like this, and we also didn't want to be, hey, you should think like a freak because, you can fix the world, and, this and that are wrong, and you better get out there and do it. We didn't want to be that. So this one idea that we had that we felt was really, really, really important, but we couldn't pull it off in the original form, was this concept that we called first put away your moral compass. And so it did survive in literally like maybe a page in the book, but this was like maybe a 30-page chapter that began the book. And the whole idea was that if you want to solve a problem, you any problem that you care enough about to want to solve, you almost certainly come to it with a whole lot of ideas about it. Ideas about why it's an important problem. What is it that bothers you exactly? Who are the villains in the problem? All these kind of things. So, like, if you're an environmentalist, if you're an environmentalist and you believe that really one of the biggest tragedies of the last 100 years is people despoiling the environment, the minute you hear about an issue that kind of abuts the environment, whether it's honeybee collapse or something having to do with air quality, your immediate kind of moral position is, well, I know exactly what the cause of that is. It's caused by human beings being stupid and careless and greedy and so on. Now, that may be true, but it also may not be true. Our point is, if you try to approach every problem with your moral compass, first and foremost, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to exclude a lot of possible good solutions. You're going to assume you know a lot of things you don't. You're going to assume you know a lot of things when in fact you don't. And you're not going to be a good partner in reaching a solution with other people who don't happen to see the world the way you do.